They will say, no, make I go buy Innonson. Say Innonson is Nigerian made car. Innonson is an assembly plant. We've had those in Nigeria. Volkswagen will get assembly plant. Innocent gets his license from Nissan. Nigeria does not manufacture steel. We don't manufacture bolts and screws. How dare you say you have a made in Nigeria car? You have a car assembled in Nigeria. It's made in Japan. Won't be if I make car. Until you refine it, you cannot feed yourself in your country. Can't make enough food to eat. You can't even refine the crude oil that is in your ground. You have to go and call the countries of this world to donate to 1 billionaire. National, it was a global effort for 1 billionaire to build one refinery that we can't even see the impact in our life.
Okay, so Seun Kuti there trying to, I think it made sense at some point in that video, the later part where he spoke about the need for Nigerians to begin to look into developing solutions to problems. However, but the beginning part of that video worried me, and I thought I was the only person that saw that part. Okay, when I watched this video, something just struck in me to say ignorance is being shared in a public space at that point. But then, one of those things, like I said, it's not every video that I see that I get to jump on. But I was just scrolling through X, formerly Twitter, a couple of days ago, and then I saw somebody reported that on X, and then conversations went on. A lot of persons agreed with him, so to speak. One of the things that came to my mind was Otunba Gbega Daniels, former governor of Ogun State. He said that the biggest challenge of our society is that a lot of people that has been vested with responsibility of communicating and informing the people are ignorant themselves. So they push ignorance like a super glue to people. Seun Kuti, this thing you said now undermine your education and civilization. It gets to the point of realizing that you are a dull person. Seun Kuti, you are a dull person. If you ever see this, and this is not even a tribal situation, of course, remember that David Odoyin, which of course one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, had flawed him. So forget the tribal conversation. I can tell you, this is not deliberate conversation to create any tribal rancor. It is that we continue to enlighten ourselves. And a lot of the times, the people that many people are trusting, Seun Kuti, for example, of the Fela Anikulapo Kuti's dynasty, will be public to say something like this. Igbo, no, leave Igbo. See, you will go school, can't go to seek inspiration from Igbo. You are going. I've been here a couple of months, right? The first ever job I did here, okay, not the first. One of the jobs I have done here was working in a car manufacturing factory, so to speak. Right? Guess what? That particular factory I had worked manufactures some parts. It's a company on its own, I can tell you. They manufacture some parts that are used for some vehicles. Because, of course, you know I'm a very private person, so I don't share very many details out. I don't want to get into all that details. At least I was in the quality control department for that particular factory, and I saw processes being done, and I could tell. Somehow, the big umbrella company of the car that we use, very viable and luxurious cars, by the way, not very luxurious cars, they position, sublet, or divide certain parts in their in the processes of manufacturing car to other companies whose basic job is to build and develop these parts, so to speak. And then they do for several companies. This factory doesn't just work for one brand, they work for about 2 or 3 brands, as at the time I was attached to them. And then I say, so because Innonson now sublet some parts from various parts of the globe, now makes it not to be a car manufacturing brand. Is that ignorance, or there's a deliberate information tried to be passed across that is wrong? Hold on. So until I saw this series of tweets from David Hundeyin. Of course, David helped in creating the balance that I needed and helped to put the words in a more graphically represented and even in a more professional ways. Listen to David. Just listen to David. And then David, in response to the particular video of Seun Kuti, said this, and listen. I think Nigerians need to develop a healthy reverence for facts before putting on ring light and uploading peace to calm videos to the internet. Let's clear up some certain misconceptions. Car manufacture, like every other industrial process nowadays, is globalized. The days of having 20 different manufacturing processes turning raw input into finished output under one ceiling are long gone. Ever since global trade and comparative advantage became a thing after World War II, everyone from BMW to Boeing has integrated complex global supply chains and just-in-time supply chain management, which means that the 777 Dreamliner Seun Kuti flies to his cohort in Europe and USA is assembled in Renton, Washington, after hundreds of parts are manufactured through a complex series of outsourcing agreements with subcontractors. That's what I needed to say. Subcontractors across Europe and Asia, part of which is heavy in the United Kingdom. To say that Boeing does not manufacture airplanes because for the most part it does not actually make the part of his planes would be a silly thing to say. There is a world of difference between what Innonson does and the completely knocked down and semi-knocked down assembly operations that the likes of Volkswagen and Peugeot have run in Nigeria before. For one thing, roughly 65% of IVM parts are sourced locally. All manufacturing processes, including plastic, rubber, electronics, and frame molding, are carried out and within a 100-kilometer radius of IVMs in a wheel factory. An example of this is the Union Auto Manufacturing, a subsidiary of Ibeto Group, which manufactures the batteries used in IVM cars. Another example is the Innonson Technical Company, a subsidiary of Innonson Group, which manufactures all plastic, rubber, and foam and upholstery components used in the IVM cars. The only parts of the IVM that are imported are the engine blocks and other steel components, of course, because Nigeria lacks the required steel melting capacity. Ownership of manufacturing operations in 2024 is not determined by where specific production processes happen, but by who's the intellectual property. I'm a project manager at the company that makes solar PV hardware, like most UK product builders. Yes, we ideate, plan, design, and manage end-to-end from our local location in Britain. But you see what I was saying now? But the actual manufacturing is outsourced to a supplier in Shenzhen. Claiming that the UK consequently does not manufacture solar PVs would be asinine. Because we own all the IP. Innonson owns the IP right to the vehicles, which is an entire world away from simply assembling the Volkswagens and the Peugeot. Equating one to the other shows how much Seun Kuti doesn't understand about how things work, despite his desperation to be heard. Finally, IVM does not assemble Nissan cars. First of all, IVM has no license or agreement whatsoever with Nissan. Seun Kuti pulled something entirely out of his ass, not for the first time. David. Now, IVM does have an IP agreement with the basket of Chinese car makers, including Beck Global and DFM Corporation. But these are IP agreements, not supplier licenses. An automotive IP agreement means that you are given access to the designs and schematics of a vehicle by its manufacturer. Sorry, I'm taking this like I needed you to get it. And you're allowed to reproduce it under your brand name. It basically allows one to venture into this vehicle manufacturing without having to reinvent the wheel. And it is exactly how China grew its automotive industry from negligible in 1985 into the world largest in 2023. It is not the same thing as a Ponti, CKD or SKD that's completely knocked down or semi knocked down. Again, I keep saying I really wish that Nigerian men. Okay, I will leave that. Now, because I used David Odoyin's tweet, I used Seun Kuti's video to pull this content out. Somebody says I didn't create the content. That's the point. That is the point exactly. That's the point I wanted you to understand. Clearly, we have allowed people with very half-baked, basic, shallow, pedestrian understanding to fill our public spaces, and they have been heard by everybody. And guess what? Some tribal bigot took this information and they began to brag about it, because then again, a tribe that they don't like is winning. And this is not about whether a tribe is winning or not. Like I said, it's not a tribal conversation. It's the fact that Nigerians must continue to hail, support, and endorse what Nigerians are doing. And like I said, the later part of that video said a whole lot, and I'll comment you for that. But this beginning wasn't necessary. If Innocent, like David has said, that is putting out or as contracted or subcontracted 65% of the vehicle parts being used, whether they own the company or not. Of course, like in David analysis, some of them are even subsidiaries of the Innonson group. It's enough. They are doing that already. They own the intellectual property. That is enough for you to understand that they own it. So stop all this rubbish. And in case you see a solution in Nigeria and your first brother is from where he's coming from, be momo, be all there. Share this video, let somebody see it. Thank you.